All right, let's get woo. I think it's the time. I mean, it's the time. Yeah, the time happens. It's not something you're just like, oh, okay, well, I'm just gonna ignore that. It's unignorable. It was a couple of years ago when I went down this like hermetic magic sort of rabbit hole, and it was unavoidable too. And weird shit happens. I have a weird story. But before we get into it, I just want to say that the only thing more annoying than skeptics are channelers. I've been watching channeling videos on YouTube, and man, if you need a pep in your step, I'm not trying to like, because I mean, I don't disbelieve that, but it's just funny. Some of the people who are channelers, it's just really hard to take them seriously. I don't know if you've seen some of these folks, but oh my God, it is hours of fun. And I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of showiness. There's a lot of interesting stuff. I think the most important thing is what really matters, which is this making a difference? Is this helping people, right? Like at the end of the day. Other than that, it's just a bunch of airy-fairy. I'm just coming to you as the hairy fairy. I'm just going to start going by that now. Maybe I shouldn't do that. People might get the wrong idea. But this idea of channeling or other beings and all that kind of stuff, it's been around for quite some time. Of course, right? But I heard some people talking today, and as we sort of sit here, I've been on the Tao a lot, right? So the Tao, the yin, the yang action principle, masculine. In this society, we're far over to the left brain, okay? We're definitely imbalanced over to the left brain, and we don't have enough space in us, and that's where the yin is. That's our connection to infinity, of course. It makes total sense. Most of us, especially, I mean, I think probably all of us tend to be more in touch with our inner selves, right? Like that part of us. But that's part of the process and progressing and stuff. But I just can't believe that somebody could have 56K subs, who just went to a yoga class and, has a great spray tan, but it's not about the person. But it must be nice to be a channeler, right? And you just like, well, you could be a total hypocrite at that point because everything was channeled, right? It only makes sense. You don't have to do as you said because that wasn't you. So it's a pretty smart way to just, not take responsibility, just be a total hypocrite, I'm reading, speaking about all this stuff, I'm reading a book called Cosmic Trigger, and it's by Robert Anton Wilson. And in this book, he is talking to deities that he thinks are from Sirius, the star system Sirius. And I haven't gotten to the end of the book yet, but I've heard him reference this book a few times. I've just never finished the book. I have a weird twisted feeling that it's going to be a twist, but I also, want to say that everyone, it's valid. Like I believe in this stuff. I do. I just think it's important to be careful. And I want to read a passage from it that's really inspiring and cool. But before I do that, I want to also tell a story about a time when I saw an entity, and I was in high school, and I was in the church, and I was in my bed, but I wasn't asleep. I was laying there, and I was like praying, and this sort of angelic figure, it came up, floating above my bed. I saw saw its face. It looked like one of the entities from Casper the Friendly Ghost. Not Casper, but one of those other ones, the skinniest one. With the monocle, but he didn't have a monocle. So think, you know, a little bit less Mr. Peanut Ghost, you know, like something like that. But he had this like long shaped head that was, you know, weird. And he was like white translucent. And so I asked this entity while I was laying there, I asked it, you know, if it was of, I'm sure I probably said Jesus at the time because I'm 17 years old. I'm super into the Pentecostal stuff at this point. This is when, I mean, I don't know. I was probably into it pretty hard for about a year, you know, something like that. Long enough to buy a bunch of books I'll never read and still carry around with me to this day for some reason. That Rick Joyner book, I'll probably never read it. I've read one of his books, and it was pretty good. But anyway, okay, back to the ghost. It literally rolls its head in a way that's completely strange and unnatural. This elongated vertical head like slides down and then over to the side. So now the top of the head is at the right shoulder and the bottom of the head is pointed toward the left shoulder. And then the head rolls saying yes, but the head sideways. So it's saying, I guess no, but trying to trick me into accepting it or something. I don't know. I haven't had a whole lot of experiences like this, to be honest. So, you know, and that's not due to a lack of being pretty woo. All right. This is the woo. I want to get woo episode anyway. So, you know, I want us to be careful too. You know, there's a lot of new stuff coming to light because of all of this shit. And I do have this passage that I want to read because it's super interesting. And, you know, there's a lot about the Sirius connection in here and different things and some really interesting synchronicities. Robert Anton Wilson and Timothy Leary are pretty much telepathically communicating a bit. He talks about Aleister Crowley a lot, and he talks a lot about what he calls Operation Mindfuck, because he had created this religion called Discordianism with a couple other folks. Here we go. And he has a really good perspective on himself too. He even divvies himself up into different pieces, you know. He's looking at his reality from a lot of different perspectives. And so that makes this work even more valuable, in my opinion. The fact that he's willing to go that far and question himself and doubt everything and continue. So here goes. I'll start reading. Was this at last the illumination of the Illuminati, the experience of skepticism carried out to the point where it abolishes itself? Since you can't believe anything fully, you are as free of skepticism as of any other philosophy and finally open to thinking the unthinkable. Or was the final secret simply and bluntly that there really is an interstellar ESP channel to which you can tune in by metaprogramming your nervous system? And so that's what they talk about a lot, is the nervous system. And when he says metaprogrammer, he's going to talk about an aspect of consciousness known as the seventh circuit of consciousness is what they called it, which is the metaprogrammer aspect, this higher self of us that can come down and literally make changes to ourself. The shaman and the skeptic conferred at length and decided we were not actually going mad and continued occult experimentation. The neuro-metaprogrammer adopted a belief system in which there was a real contact going on with higher intelligence, i.e. with the extraterrestrial from Sirius, or with the holy guardian angel, or whatever it was. Some of the intensified experiences were merely, quote, subjective, unquote, but nonetheless tremendously important to the author, in ways that even the skeptic would admit were non-pathological. For instance, on one occasion, the entity spoke directly, in a melodious and angelic voice, to say, "They live happiest who have forgiven most." This is rather trite. This is rather trite, one admits. All the major religions preach forgiveness. What was impressive, though, was the timing. The struggling writer was very pissed off. That week, he's waiting on money to come in. And also the pragmatic emphasis tailored to the libertarians' hedonistic philosophy at the time. It did not say forgive because God demands it. It said forgive and you will be happier. The libertarian hedonist tried it and is still trying it, and it works. The fewer resentments you harbor, the happier your life will be. Why are we all such fools as to ignore this obvious lesson, which a truly rational person would have figured out by the age of 8 or 9, if not sooner? Yeah, this book is incredible. And so he starts to, go into him continuing to do these experiments. And occasionally the angel would speak to him and give them, what he considers to be trivial information, right? Like, for instance, he says that he met somebody and the angel would say Gemini. And then he would ask and see and ask if they're a Gemini, and they would say yes. So he found that, these powers were real, that he was actually contacting some sort of entity, right? And he's even pragmatic or calm and rational enough and grounded enough to realize that these realities he's experiencing are even still part of something that he's still an observer as far as that goes, right? So he's not giving into the sensationalism. He's weighing the realities still. He's still living in this more balanced sort of world, He says it's ESP, and he talks about how the alien entity he disliked intensely because they were show-offy, corny, and tending to turn him into a damned carnival act. Oh my God. So it's funny. He's talking about some interesting things. Timothy Leary talks about star seeds. Actually, what star seeds are DNA that they found on this meteorite. And it had some sort of space dust on it with some sort of DNA. And that's what Timothy Leary is wearing on his prison suit in that prison interview. I think it's his prison suit. I don't know. Maybe he's wearing regular clothes, but he somehow has the starseed emblem on there. And that's where the starseed thing comes from. And all of oh my God. The Galactic Federation is going to be really mad at me, guys. Oh my God. Oh, they're going to send a warrant out for my arrest. Oh my God. It's so funny. But I mean, we are all channeling stuff all the time. What's the difference? You're channeling something, but it's all a matter of degree. Remember, it really is. I know sometimes when I get into a flow, and things are coming out of my mouth and I don't even know what I'm talking about, and it doesn't. That's improv, and that's just improv comedy. I'm not channeling anything, but I am, right, at the same time. So I don't know. It's just a willingness, I think, the willingness to give over, and if you want to do that, it's up to you. That's fine. Just be careful, right? I think there's probably, I don't know. I mean, if infinity exists, all right, think of the idea of a tulpa, right? The idea of a tulpa is that you create something by creating it in your mind. So I have so as far as woo-woo-ness goes, like I have a meditation that I made where you can discover your guardian angel, right? That is woo as fuck. But it's based on an experience that I had. So it's real for me, so I thought I would share it and try to pass it on. And if it's helpful, great. If it's not, totally get it. No big deal. I'm not going to be hurt about it. But, but I think I have a guardian angel, and I either created him by thinking about him or whatever. I don't know. I guess he's kind of a he, but I don't really know. I haven't really, we've only been seeing each other for so long, right? Like I'm trying to wait things out. But it's a weird looking thing. It's definitely not human looking. I mean, it has human characteristics, but it's just this weird image that flashed into my head while I was doing this hypnosis. And I believe that if I believe in that entity, then it exists, right? So that is real. Now, it's not in this world, right? The world of the yang, the world of action, the world of logic and density and inert matter, right? And all of that, right? The solid. It's not. It's a conjured up thing. So it's technically real, but it's also, not physically real, right? Like, so any idea or what have you. Now, if that particular entity got a bunch of, I don't know, energy and attention, and I drew it and other people saw it, and then all of a sudden that tulpa, that thing that was created, I guess maybe by my mind, or I don't know, like the fact that it's an infinite field, it wasn't really created by my mind. I just picked up on it. So there's that aspect of it too. Does it matter? I don't know. I think maybe it doesn't. And, anyway, but that idea is that can continue to grow. Like that entity can continue to grow and become pervasive, whatever. Somebody either saw a Sasquatch or thought about a Sasquatch and started talking about a Sasquatch. They try to take some pictures. Maybe it was a dude in a suit. Maybe it was a animal. I don't know. I assume it's probably some weird thing. I don't know if they're shapeshifters. There's a bunch of stuff on cryptids that's just crazy. I haven't even gotten there yet. I'm not even really scratching the surface here. I'm just talking a little bit about channeling. Channel me a river. And I guess Vadim apparently, channeled these books. So that's an interesting thing. It's like, how do you take possession of that then? If you channeled something, how can you simultaneously then take credit for it, right? And so like these folks on YouTube are like channeling and taking all this money. Well, shouldn't they be giving that to somehow a higher source? I don't know. I'm just asking. I know you got to pay travel, boo, and it takes time and money to make books. I'm not hating. I don't think there's anything wrong with making money. There's not, it's just funny. I don't see how you can, well, I mean, I do because I've been in the church, and the church in whatever group, it shows a lot about human nature, and groups, cults, churches, they're the same. They're kind of the same thing, right? They're the same sort of dynamic, right? You've got the same sort of pendulum, right? And so this tulpa, this idea that begins, it grows, and then it becomes bigger and bigger. Maybe Mormonism is a good example. I don't know, right? Or some obscure religion, Hare Krishna or something like that. But like it's all stemming from one idea that was either conjured or captured from the metaphysical, right? And then brought into the physical world as an idea. One time when I was on DMT in college, I told my friends that Mickey Mouse was real. It was like my friend had this tea and we drank it, and it worked. Not that we were like trying to get fucked up. That's not the point. But the point was that, I was curious, and it was college. And I mean, if I did it last week, I would just be like, well, I was curious and it was last week, but that's not the point. The point is they didn't know what to think when I said that. They argued with me. They were like, no, he's not. But in my head, it made complete and total sense at the time. Mickey Mouse is real because we agree that this exists, We've all seen it. We all sort of agree on it. So now it's a thing. So now it is real in that sense. Like, is it alive? It's not alive. It's not, a conscious entity. It's not a conscious being, Mickey Mouse, right? But what is See, I think we're sovereign too. That's the other part of this. I think it's cool to like get information from wherever, especially if it's practical and useful. But it also scares me, you know, like I'm also a little bit nervous about it. Not that I think that anything necessarily has a bad intention, but maybe it's us giving up our own power a little bit, you know. I don't know. I'm trying to figure all this shit out, and I'm reading this book, and it's just everywhere. You know, I think it's important to move away from the physical, right, and into the more metaphysical, right. This natural space. Can I just say that I appreciate it if you're wearing a mask, and that's great. But can you please put something on your feet? I mean, especially the boomer feet. All right. Chacos aren't for everybody. Okay. Just thinking about my uncle's feet. It's like, man, good God. No wonder what you wear Velcro shoes. I love my uncle, but good God, man. Those feet are wrecked. Oh, man. My grandmother's feet, I remember. Oh, my Lord. Have mercy. What happens? What happens to feet? It's just, do we stand on them too much? Like, what is going on? Why do people's feet past the age of a certain age, 55? I don't know. I'm not even going to make that. It's not. There's not an age, okay? I know better. But I also know that, like, at some point, I don't know when it is, it just, everything turns on, and your feet just go to shit. They look like raft guide feet. All fungusy with corns on there. I just gagged myself just a little bit saying that. I'm sorry out there, guys. I do apologize. I try and offer a little bit of a comedy break in the middle of these things just to shake off the dust, you know? I'm trying to be, I'm trying to have fun here with the woo-woo shit because it's really in my face right now. And I think there's a lot going on. I think there's a lot of people who are really, who are, you know, for lack of a better way to say it, waking up. I'm going to stop apologizing for saying words. I just hate all the trigger words, the new age words, it's like walking on broken glass. Walking on. Listen, your ascension, you're not a Maya, okay? You're not one of the Maya. Let's just say that. Maybe you are. I don't know. I don't think you are. And I'm not taking any chances. Okay? Do you think Great Universal Spirit is going to punish you for being smart in the third dimension? For using critical thinking and knowledge? For having a plan, doing the best that you can with this form, in the form, right? Do you think you'll be punished for that? Do you think that you won't get something because you didn't believe hard enough? I can talk about the church again. I've heard motherfuckers say, listen, I've got this great new exercise, but if you don't believe in it, it's not going to work for you. Oh, well, pull yourself right off the hook. Thanks so much. I'll pass, dude. If you're just going to blame the victim, you know, I get upset sometimes. I see people do some real hypocritical shit. I was just getting ready to do a podcast for Out Stupid, but I guess other guest bailed, and that's fine. That means I can just make this much, much longer. I can just I can just continue. I don't think you get to leave your body. When something bad comes. That is just like the Christian belief of the rapture. And you know what? I'm going to be really fucking pissed if the rapture does come and everybody who believed in it left and I'm stuck here. But so far, everybody's still here. These out there fucking theories. Think about Occam's razor, guys. The simplest thing usually wins out, okay? And I don't want to be the guy who's over here telling you the truth. That's the last thing I want. Trust me. I want to lie to you like you can't imagine. I just want to tell you, everything's just going to be peachy and there's, never anything bad's going to happen. No, consider bad, right? Like, that's a terrible, terrible word. But like, you know what I'm saying? There's never going to be any tragedy. There's never going to be any struggle. There's never going to be any suffering. No, that shit is evident, man. And it's not going anywhere. There's no way we're avoiding it. It's going to be tough. The only way out is through. That's it. You have to be willing to see some fire, man, if you want to become gold. And maybe you're going to vanish and disappear without a trace into some other timeline, but I wouldn't count on that shit, right? I just wouldn't. I think it's smarter to be prepared and hope for the best. To me, believing that you're going to ascend to some other realm if shit goes haywire and the government comes after us or whatever the trigger is, whatever this shifting one second thing could happen. And it's happened in the past. Okay. There are ripples in reality. There's Mandela effects. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not. I'm just saying I wouldn't count on it. Okay. To me, it's like being a Q follower. If you believe that you're just going to shift over into some other dimension when shit hits the fan, that's escapist. That's believing in the Christian doctrine of, rapture. That's not even in the fucking Bible, for the record. I don't even know where that is. It's somewhere in the Old Testament. It's not in Revelation. If it is anywhere, I know people pull that out. It's like, I can't even remember what it is. It's just been too long, but I've never bought that. Like, why would that be? Oh, you believed something. Here. You believed something. You believed something. Here. Have a goldfish. It's like, we might as well be pigeons, Pavlov's dogs at that point. Oh, you'll reward me for believing something? That's stupid that I haven't even had the opportunity to explore myself. No. It's like following Q. I'll be honest with you. I hope that Q is a thing, right? I hope JFK Jr. is back there behind the controls, buddy. He's been waiting all this time. Oh my God. It would be fucking amazing. Am I counting on that shit? Not in a million years, dude. There's no way I'm counting on that shit. So as shit continues to go haywire, I think it's more and more important to start talking to people and getting a plan together, because I think there's a bit of a split coming socially. I think there's definitely some people who don't want to go down the path that we're headed down as a species. I'm one of those people. I think it's a huge overreach of power already. There's no real civil liberties. There's no real freedom. We've known this for a long time, but now it's actually being, the action's being taken and people are going along with it. They're being really passive. I was listening to a guy today who was talking about the Mandela effect, and it was the best example I could ever see. He had an illustration with this creepy doll, like a Raggedy Andy doll. But he was showing the doll, and it's Quantum of Conscience, I think, is this channel, and he was great. I really liked it. Thanks to my friend Lehman for sharing that to me. But he was bringing the doll into these like different sort of vibrations and talking about, how it's shifting, and it's like this becomes the new normal, and then the doll just adapts right to that. Like there's something in us that makes us notice these shifts, right? And somehow I don't know how he said it. Like we've fortified ourselves. I don't know what the answer is. We've looked in more maybe into that yin. We've dug a little bit we dug a little bit deeper. We've done more soul searching. We've asked more questions. We've we've insulated ourselves somehow and somewhat to what's going on here. Now, let's get back to woo, okay? And let's get real woo. This is where I'm going to wrap this up and bring it all together. Wow! All the way around third base. Grand slam for the win. You'll never see baseball again. I'm sorry if you liked it. It was the golf of sports anyway. Aliens. Okay, aliens. So there's some weird theories out there, man. You've got a lot of different ideas. And the ideas that come from this struggle, the Galactic Federation, right? Or these aliens from Pleiades, or these aliens from Sirius, or whatever you're channeling, hippie. Whatever that is, there seems to be some evidence for a bit of a struggle on the earth between the material and the ethereal, right? Like this is what we see every single day. And it's I think why our world is showing us polarity and duality the way that it does, and why it plays the way that it does. And so many people have had so many great takes on that, but that there's a sort of an energy or entity maybe, or alien or whatever, that sort of represents the earth. And that would be, the color red. And then you've got the one that sort of represents the metaphysical, the magical, the deeper, the gifts, the yin more aspect of infinity and all of that kind of stuff. And that is the blue. And so you see the yin and yang, that's blue and red. I don't know if you've ever done a whip-it, but you might see some like weird spinning energy. If you just hold your breath for a while, you might actually just see that. We used to choke ourselves out in like 5th grade or 6th grade and get high, choking ourselves out. One time I huffed gas, and Jesus, oof, your breath smells like gas for 3 days. I don't recommend it. I woke up and I was like right by the lawnmower, and I was like, oh God, what have I done? And then I went upstairs and like tried to brush my teeth, and it just tasted like gas. And then I used some mouthwash, but that didn't matter. Gas, so I don't recommend really huffing stuff. These breathing exercises I've been doing. Okay, so back to the aliens. Wim Hof on the breathing exercises. I'm not trying to hold anything out on you. They're just real easy, just big ins, big outs, rhythmically. Rhythmic breath, man, that's the way to go. All right, so these aliens, the idea is that these aliens came down to farm gold, maybe to farm energy. There's a couple different theories here, but they created the human species, right? So you've got a couple of different theories, which we'll never really know the answers to these questions, I don't think. We've got traditional evolution, which is, we used to be other things, and now we've evolved and formed into what we are now, which physically I see some holes in. Energetically, I don't. I think it's pretty sound that we've maybe been here for a long time. That's one theory. Another theory is that we are made here. We are engineered. That we are maybe like part alien, part monkey, maybe some sort of earthly kind of thing. Another theory, maybe this whole thing is just a farm, right? these aliens, but that one of the aliens gave us too much power, or in as far as the other alien, things. And maybe they're like these two prodigal brothers, or like two competitive brothers or something. But that we came here to like mine gold or something. Another is that we're energy, basically like an energy farm. Very much like the Matrix. And then we've also got the idea that this is just a simulation. I like the idea that God dumped out his consciousness, into this galaxy, this universe, whatever. And, we're basically all parts of God playing this game with each other. I tend to like that. It's simple. I can understand it. And that's true no matter where we're actually from, right? Within the whole, it doesn't really matter if you're Pleiadian, second generation, if you're one of the descendants of Spock, it doesn't fucking matter, right? Like, that's not what's important, Oh my God. Oh my God. I want to do a parody on channeling. I think I'm going to have to do it. I mean, there's some really bad channeling videos out there. Okay, so evolution, alien, seedlings, what else? I don't know. I mean, there's also the idea, like I said, that we are from here, and, have just been part of this earth, Gaia, for a long time. But I know this much for a fact. Freedom is fucking cool, and it's amazing. We are so much more valuable than being cogs in a system that doesn't allow for individuality, that oppresses the great majority of human beings, that shoves a bunch of rules and laws down people's throats so that they can just punish them for those crimes. And there's a lot of people who just go along with it. And I don't think it's really their fault. I think that has a lot to do with this Mandela effect, where they're just shifting down to whatever's normal, and it doesn't matter. They're just going to go along with it. There's some sort of just drop in consciousness. Now, I don't know if this comes from some programming. I don't know if this means that we're sort of in different versions of things all at the same time, but we are all here. I don't go anywhere. I'm still in the third dimension, and I'm not gonna just leap out of my body like Elijah. Like Elijah did it. That's cool. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying I wouldn't count on it. And I hate to be the practical guy. Nobody wants to bring you down to earth. I'm chained to this fucking pillar, having to be like, look, dude, you're getting a little carried away. I know you just woke up and you're excited, but you can't fucking fly, all right? And you can bounce right out of your body and fly. But I don't think you can fly in this world. And you can show me some theory that tells me that somehow it's possible, and I don't disagree with that either. And if you can lift off in front of me and I'm just going to be like, I was wrong, you can do it. It's interesting because Tufti talks about, like, you wouldn't know you could ride a bike if somebody didn't tell you, right? And I think that's very true. So as far as like the manifestation shit, it's so true, but it's not how you think. You don't have as much control as people lead you to believe. You have control to an extent, but not really. And you have to give up control to get any control, and then you still are going to have limited options, but the options are going to be better than what you initially set out, especially if you can be patient. So I don't know. That's where we're at, space cadets. I've got some friends I'm trying to get on the podcast real soon, and I'm excited to have people on the show who are awesome, who are knowledgeable, and who have really interesting ideas to share. I want to explore this. As a former certified transurfing instructor, it's important to me to get as many ideas out there as possible and flood the market, right? And then I'll buy rights to all of that stuff, and then I will start censoring people. And I'll take their videos off of every platform, and I will, dominate the airwaves, and I will be the only one who can talk about trans suffering. Well, actually, I'm not going to do any of that because it's a waste of my time. But let's use the tools that we have in the physical world. Let's use the tools that we have in the spiritual world. We need both. We need both of these things, and that's why I get to be here being a Debbie Downer pants. I just did a Patreon special podcast on my Patreon page. It is called Live from the Planner's Inn. I'm opening up for Mr. Peanut in Savannah. It's actually not called that, but it's up on my Patreon. So check that out. And I've got a bunch of stuff on my Patreon. Please check it out. Really cool guests coming up on the show, and I appreciate you guys listening to me rant about what is woo. I want to hear all of this. One thing that's really cool and I'm very proud and happy about, I don't care what the truth winds up being. I know that it all winds up just resolving in love anyway. It doesn't matter. And I'm taking this course with my friend Ralph, his love group, and it's just really, really fun. I can't think of a better subject to learn about. A more important subject, a more noble subject, a more guiding subject than just love itself, love, forgiveness, and that's, maybe you can tell an entity by that, what is it asking you to do? Is it asking you to forgive things? Because I went down that hermetic magic road, dude, and that shit's, it's all real. Mickey Mouse is real, okay? Mickey Mouse is a tulpa. Mickey Mouse is real, the guardian angel Michael, Gabriel, Ariel, all of these things. And so, you go through these ritual things, you try them. They're really, they make you feel really self-conscious, just like Wim Hof breathing or doing aerobics in front of people. Even if you're alone, you still feel kind of weird about it. It's just strange because, and it's the only reason why, is just because you haven't done it, but there's a lot of really cool meditation techniques as well. Maybe I'll share some of those coming up, and keep digging and researching into all this alien stuff. Yeah, folks, check me out, patreon.com/Bootsy Greenwood. And I appreciate you listening. If you like what you hear, then go on over to Patreon. And, there's a lot more, and there's a lot of free stuff over there too. So I've also got some things on Gumroad, and I'm going to be live from my living room pretty often. So thanks, everybody. Love's all there is. Don't forget that shit.